Hello everybody, welcome to the IDX Broker for Beginners webinar. My name is Shannon and I have Becky here to answer some questions for me in the chat window. So let's get started. So today we're just going to be doing an overview for new customers and people who are wanting to get acquainted with the IDX system. We'll be going over a basic idea of the dashboard. We'll go through the IDX pages, the wrappers, which will make the pages look like your website, widgets, and save links. All right. First thing we'll need to do is log into our IDX Broker accounts. So this is a brand new account, just like you would have when you get started with us. Brief overview of the dashboard first. So the dashboard consists of all the buttons, and then of course this area that calls itself the dashboard. This first page, it's got some useful information on it. It'll tell you about the last email updates that went out, how many agent slots you're using if you have a multi-agent account, traffic stats for the IDX pages, pages that'll show you which are the most popular that your visitors see, and then some basic details about your account and your pages here. The other thing to notice just in this home section is the API control. If you're a WordPress user and you're going to be using our IDX Broker plugin, this will be where you get the API key. You just need to copy this key out and put it in the plugin. Same for anything that might be compatible with IDX Broker and the API key that we provide you. So CRMs and other third-party apps that use us. The next screen, or the next section to look at is the account. It's pretty simple. Message Center will tell you a summary of the emails that have gone out over the last 3 months. Notes will just show you some information about billing, and you might get some information in there about webinars and things that are upcoming or changes that have been made. Your contact section is going to show who to contact on the account as the primary. If there's anybody else in your office that you want to be able to contact us for support, simply add them in here and we'll be able to help them. Billing section, it shows you your card information, account status, and it'll show you your monthly invoices that you can either print or email to yourself. The Upgrade Center is for those of you who may have started with IDX Broker Lite or have a single user account and want to use more than one agent on the website. In here you can just go in, change your account level to whatever you feel like, up or down, and then from there it'll tell you just the price changes that you'd be experiencing and allow you to submit, and that's automatic. You don't have to call us or anything to get it done. Just some basics about your account info. It'll show you what we have as your main domain, what your default domain is for IDX Broker. It'll give you the ability to do a custom domain, so you could do something like search.yourwebsiteaddress.com using CNAMEs, which is, if you're interested in that, go to support.idxbroker.com and type in CNAME or custom domain, and that'll show you how to set that up for you. And then down here, this information is all information that would show up on a contact form or listing page. I'll show you a quick example here. So if you take a look at a listing and look at the bottom, you'll see this contact form and the information from the account in it here. So you can change this to whatever you want it to be. It's not anything critical for us to know. It's mostly just a display on the front end of your site. Okay, so the preferences section. So the global preferences section is where you can change some preferences about your pages. It'll let you choose what navigation shows up on the IDX pages, default prices, where the map is centered, how the results show up, and then information about what shows up on the details pages. So you can all find that in here. The ones that most people are usually interested in are mobile, which is if you have a non-responsive website and you want your IDX pages to be viewable on mobile devices, you would just switch this to yes, and they'll automatically come up with a default wrapper that we've set up for mobile pages. And then the other thing is under other, where you can place your logo that'll show up on your listings. And you can even put in a custom image for any listings that don't have photos in them. Okay. So beyond that, we're going to move right on to designs, which is going to be where the bulk of your IDX tools are. You can see in the submenu, it's where we have the pages, the widgets, the saved links, and the wrappers. So first thing we're going to look at here is the wrappers. Now you'll see that this area is blank. Normally when we set up an account, we will go to your web page, we'll pick out a good page to use as a wrapper, and we'll remove the content in the HTML and place the top and bottom parts of that around the IDX content using this tool. So you'll notice the IDX Broker pages are blank. They don't look like they've been styled for your site yet, and that can happen. Sometimes we'll send out one without a wrapper, and it could be that we got to your site and it wasn't currently up yet, or that we got to your site and it was in maintenance mode, so we couldn't access any of the HTML. Or in some cases, your wrapper might have some design elements that make it difficult to wrap, or it could be something like you're using Wix, in which case we can't set up a wrapper for that because they use JavaScript to build their pages.
What about Weebly?
Weebly is one that we can wrap. We can wrap it usually pretty easily. There are some things we change in the HTML sometimes, and we might have to remove a script or two. So that's usually all we have to do with that. But most of the time, Weebly wrappers work. Joomla is another one we can use. WordPress, of course. Squarespace is another popular one we see that we can use pretty easily. GoDaddy's website builder we can do. It might take a little longer than the other ones just because of the structure that it's built in. But yeah, we can typically do those most CMS services. So as I showed you before, these pages are not wrapped. So they just look like the basic IDX page. But once I apply your site design to it, and then I'll refresh the page, and now you can see that a site design has been applied to the IDX pages. And so this is, like I said, what we would take from your website would be all of this stuff, and we would place it in these boxes. So if you're familiar with HTML, it is pretty easy for you to go in and kind of edit this by yourself. If you understand how to split a page and remove content from it, it makes it real easy to do this. But if you don't, that's okay, because we provide 2 free updates to the static wrapper a year. The next part we're going to be looking at here, just some quick things about the wrapper page. There's a global wrapper section, so this will affect all IDX pages. So you can see and refresh each of these, and they'll be wrapped with the page design. But there are options to set up wrappers for other pieces of the IDX system that can be different from your global wrapper. There's a categories section which goes over the page categories, which we'll look at here in a minute when we get to pages. There's a pages section which will show you each individual page in the IDX Broker system that you can give a wrapper to. And then if you are a Platinum account user, your saved links can also have wrappers specifically just for them. And then there's the option of, instead of using a static wrapper, which is more like a snapshot of what your website looked like when we built it, you can use a dynamic wrapper. And these are pages that are set up in CMS services, content management systems, like WordPress and Squarespace. And all you have to do is put in a little line of code into the page that's being built, and then place the URL for that in here, and it will automatically apply that to your site, your IDX pages, and then every so often it'll reach out and check for updates to your design work and update it by itself rather than you having to go in and doing it. All right, so the next part we're going to look at here is pages. So this is all of the IDX pages. They are pre-built into your account. They are all these that I had showed you earlier. You'll see they're broken up into categories. You got search pages, results pages, etc. Each of them has a little bit different function. Your basic search page is going to be a very short search where you can just choose a general property type and give it some information, and when you hit search, it will of course bring back results. And this is the results page, which will show listings from general MLS results and can show some of your own listings at the top as featured listings in search results, so that if your listings meet the criteria that they're searching for, it'll pop up there. And then the next one is the advanced search page, and this one's a little more detailed than that. You can see that you've got your general property types up here, and then property subtypes that fall into that category. And then you'll see the basic stuff again, but then underneath are the advanced fields. And these fields are, when you get the pages, are just the default that we set for them. However, in the advanced search page, you have an option to edit the fields. And you edit them by property type, since in the MLSs, the fields we call advanced fields can differ between property types. And you can see in here that you can edit those by deleting them. You can move them around. And you can also add other ones that we get from the MLS but don't add by default. And then all you'd have to do is save your property type layout, and it'll change that search page. Where we go here. Here we go. So refresh that, and you can see now that my advanced fields have changed to meet the changes that I made in that back end. So right side and left side will both show up in the search and are what are being searched. This just delineates which side of the search page it's on, so left side, right side. And then over here in the available fields list are the fields that we get from the MLS that are not already in this by default. You can change the names of those fields. If you have a Platinum account, under Preferences, MLS Settings, you've got the core fields and you can choose custom names. Same with the MLS fields. You can choose a custom display name, and that'll show up there. So another page I'd like to show you real quick is the featured page. You of course want a page full of your own listings from your own office. These are just demo information that I set up earlier today. So you can see that if this was my office ID and agent ID, these would be my listings, and they would show up here on the front end for people to see. So a lot of our clients like to add that to their main menu so that people can easily get to their listings first before going to search. So that's going to be the basics for the pages. Just a couple quick notes here. To get the link to these IDX pages, you simply click where it says link next to the page name. It'll give you the address. If you're building with HTML, You would just build an href tag to put this in somewhere on the site. In WordPress, you can use the menus or the IDX Broker plugin to add the link without having to grab this. And in other CMSs like Squarespace, you would use external linking options to add the link to the menu or the page that you want it to. We're going to look at the widgets now, which are tools that you can use to place IDX data anywhere else on your website or even on IDX Pages. So you'll see we have some that are pre-built here. There's a quick search, which just gives you some basic stuff that you can let people search for. It's good for sidebars and headers on your own pages. And you see if you just click search, it also takes you to a results page with whatever criteria you set up in it. And then there are some listing widgets here that have been pre-set up. And then you, of course, can build your own widgets, which I'll show you where to do that here in a moment. We've got the featured showcase. This would show your listings and have them set up. Right now it's only set up to show the one listing that I have, but you can edit that stuff in the widget itself, where you can choose more rows and columns for this showcase. And it will bring them back. So yeah, there are options for responsive and non-responsive. Responsive will fit to whatever container it's in on the website, whereas the non-responsive, you'll have to set the pixel width and height. And it's kind of the same for each of those listing, or each of those types of widgets. The listing widgets that we have are showcase, slideshow, and carousel. You just saw the showcase, which has this grid layout to it. The slideshow will show one listing at a time and rotate through how many of the listings you set up in there. The carousel will show more than one image at a time and rotate through those. So you could do 3 or 4 houses, and then it'll slide on to the next 3 or 4 houses. So the next thing is saved links. These we don't pre-build for you. This is the best way, though, to go in and create pages of results for specific areas or neighborhoods. Just to show you real quick how that works, is you basically choose a page, a search page with the criteria you'd want on it. You tell it, you know, whatever your price range might be, make that to give it a page name. Then refresh this page, which should have my link in it. There it is. All right. And then you can preview what the page will look like before you put it up on the site to verify that they're the listings you want. You can see here I got a selection of listings back for townhouses between 500,000 and $1 million. So that's a saved link, and we have webinars on how to set those up and tutorial videos at learn.idxbroker.com, and those links will be available at the end of this webinar for you to write down as well. There's also articles on how to build them at support.idxbroker.com.
We have a question. Is there a way to do a search link by drawing a boundary line?
There is. If you have a Platinum account, you get access to the Polygon search tools. And you'll see that it gives you a map, and you can draw out on the map using a polygon where you set up your own shape. And it would search through that. You'd also do a radius, like so. What I usually see clients do is they'll get down pretty close to an area that they like, and they'll set up a boundary along the roads, kind of like this. And so they get all the properties within this area here.
We have another one.
Oh.
Will you be going over how real estate agents handle leads when one comes in?
I will show you the lead capture system and tell you basically how you get informed that a lead has come in. A couple things to look at left in the design section here. Custom CSS. If you're familiar with CSS and there are parts of the IDX pages you'd like to change, you can use the browser inspector tool. This is what our developer partners use and what we use in support to troubleshoot CSS issues. And so if you were to want to change something like the results address color, you would look in your inspector tool for the right selection, which would be this one, and then you would make changes to whichever you need. So in this case, we'd want to take this IDX rules, drop it in our custom CSS section, and say something like color red. Then you refresh the page. Normally it should just pick it up. Occasionally, oh, that's right, it's something. Occasionally it doesn't work the first time, and you just have to kind of refine your CSS to get the right rule in place. We provide this section for you to do custom CSS or for your developer to do custom CSS. We in support cannot provide you with custom CSS or troubleshoot any CSS that your developers might have done. But we can help you try and do things like figure out which class or ID you need specifically to make that change, but that's about as far as we can go. All right, there's a subheader section which will have the same kind of thing as a wrapper, where it gives you global, category, pages, and saved links. And this will put information at the top of any one of the IDX pages. So people will typically use this on like their saved links for specific condo developments or subdivisions. They will put some information about the subdivision and a picture in there. Real quick, I'll just show you what this would look like. So I'm just going to type in here, welcome to my site. Increase the font size so it stands out on the page, center it, and maybe change the color. So you see it works kind of like a Word document editor. And then if I refresh any of the IDX pages, since it's in the global section, it'll show up at the top of those pages. So real quick again, the way that you grab CSS selectors is you use an inspect tool in your browser by right-clicking anywhere that's blank on the page, looking for this inspect. It'll say inspect or inspector depending on your browser. You click on that. They'll all have an icon that kind of looks like this that lets you scan the page for the specific area you want. If you can't find it, like with this address where I want this, but most of what I get is this, you just click on it and then go up with your mouse and scroll over each piece until you have the one you want. And then it's either a class or an ID, and you can grab it there. Now, if you're not familiar with CSS, I would suggest looking into it first. W3C Schools has a lot of great free information and some little tutorials on how to get started with CSS. So the next section we're going to look at here is leads, and that'll handle your lead capture and your lead registration, all that.
I have a client who asked about, well, one asked to repeat how to get to the CSS.
Yeah, I just did that.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. And then how to edit the cities listed.
We'll take a look at the cities listed here in a minute. Let me just get through lead capture. First thing we'll look at here is your leads manage page. It's going to be under leads, leads, and manage. And this will show you what leads you have. You can see right now I don't have any, but they will show up in here once they've signed up on your site to be a lead, or if they submit a contact information form, it'll put them in here as a lead, and it will just say that they don't have an account to log into the IDX My Listing Manager system, which lets them save searches and look at their results and things. So we're going to start with the lead registration preferences. In this section, it's pretty easy to use, just the simple. We have clients that have had a lot of success just by sliding the bar over to balanced, saving changes, and leaving it that way. However, if you want to do something more custom, like edit the sign-up form, set up blocking, CAPTCHA, you would go from here, click Advanced, and it will take you directly to those settings. Now, besides setting up the sign-up page and the basic login stuff here, you've also got a thank you page where you can set up how many days it takes for them to verify the account they signed up for, when to redirect them after sign up, and if you have tracking codes here for conversion, you can place them in here and just click Save Changes and they'll activate that way. You can set up some basics about email verification. You can't turn it off, but you can customize the emails that go out by simply changing from default to custom. There's a CRM integration page, and this is specifically just for those of you who want to use Top Producer. We can use several other CRMs. This is just one that we have support for built into the accounts. There's a cleanup that'll go through and delete any leads that haven't logged in over a certain period of days. Now, your global registration rules is where you're going to see your ability to set up much more custom rules than the ones that you can get from a simple. So you would be able to go in here and say for listing pages, the details pages, you'd want to set up a recurring request that'll show up after they've looked at 3 pages, so 3 properties. And then you can customize the message that comes with the pop-up to ask them to register, or you can leave it as default. Hit Save Changes, and it will do that. So if I go to this property page here, and I start clicking through the properties, since I've already been to the page twice already, I get the pop-up on the 4th try here. And that one they can exit out of. The other option is to do a forced registration, where you do basically the same thing, the number of pages viewable, customer default message, and if I hit the next property here, three and 4, you see the pop-up, and since it's forced, if they close out, it should redirect them to your home page. I don't have a home page set up, so it didn't do it this time, but it would take you to something like this. It should take you back to the home page like this.
And for CRM integration, can we only use the company we mentioned? That is not the case. We do integrate with other CRMs. There are so many different CRMs out there, so there is API integration as well as email parsing integration. Shannon's showing you right now on our front-facing website, idxbroker.com, where you can visit and see the different ones that we actually know about offhand that do integrate well with our system. And if you go to idxbroker.com, you'll see the Developers tab in our menu. Go to Integrations, and then the little sprockets there for CRM, and it'll drop you right down the page to the CRMs that we're aware of that do integrate well with our system. And that's just a small list of them. And so if you know that your CRM that you're currently working with that is not on that list does offer email parsing or API integration, please feel free to give our technical support team a call and see if we can get that set up with you.
So those were the global registration rules. So we took a look at that, and you'll just want to set those up to be whatever works in your market or on your site. So if you set up a specific number and it seems like people aren't registering or they're just skipping over it, you can increase the number, decrease the number, see what happens and what works best for your type of customer. It'd just be something you'd want to monitor a little. So city, county, and postal code lists are customizable. It's going to be under the preferences section, and there's a city, county, postal list set there. First thing, just to show you, if you click on manage, you'll see the default ones set up from the MLS. These are dynamic, so as it changes in the MLS, the list will change on our side. So if they add a city or remove a city, it will reflect using that list. You can set up your own by clicking back on city, county, postal code lists and clicking create. And they all operate generally the same. If we wanted to set up a custom city list and I only wanted a few cities, say Eugene, you can see that it'll auto populate here. Portland. Oh yeah, in Springfield. I don't want to leave out Springfield. It's my home away from Eugene. All right. Finalize and continue that. It'll ask you to give it a name. I'll just say Oregon Cities for mine. And then the next thing you want to do after you give it a name is click on this Apply to Search Pages button. Tell it which search pages you want it to apply to. If you want it all, just click the All Search Pages.
This does not apply to your widgets. Widgets such as the quick search you will need to set separately.
Yes. And then if we just go back to the search page here, you now see that my city list has been shortened to just those 4 cities. And so it would just look through those 4 cities every time I ran a search. Now, each of these lists are independent from each other, so just setting up a city list won't affect county or postal code and vice versa. So you'll want to do that. The other thing to look at here is if you are in an MLS where you have multiple states covered, you can choose the state that you want and click Add Bulk, and then you can go through and check off the ones that you wouldn't want and then go through the same process. Same with postal codes. You can add single bulk from the MLS, which will add whatever the MLS has in that dynamic list here. And then the state and province, which will just show the state's cities. Now these are static. They will not update. So if a new city ends up in the MLS list that you want added to your custom list, you'll have to go in and do that for yourself. School districts is going to be a advanced field that you can set up. Some of them will come with it automatically, some won't. If you need help, just call us up at support and we can help you with that.
Setting up more criteria for your advanced search page is under the round button Designs and then Pages. Find Advanced Search in the list. To the far right is the link Fields.
All right, so that was the lead registration system. Real quick, we're going to look at your listings section. So this will be where all of your listings are. The active listings is going to show listings where you or your agents are the primary listing agent on the listing. Unfortunately, we cannot do co-listing agents, so you won't see those show up if you're just a co-lister. And you can see in here that I've got a few listings, and those are what are showing up on my featured listing page. Okay, you see the featured listing page, and if you look at my listing under active, you'll see that the address is Meetup. It's 9321 Northwest Finzer, 9321 Northwest Finzer. So sold pendings, if you have a MLS that we are currently getting sold data from, we're able to pull in live sold data from the MLS up to as many years back as they set. So for some of them, it could be 1. For some of them, it could be 3. It just depends on the MLS's rules and agreement with us. So they'll show up in here, but if for some reason a listing doesn't show up here, it'll be under off market. So if you don't have live sold data on your MLS at the moment, or it's older than the account you have with us, you can come in here and look and see if it shows up in the off market section, and you can change the status of the listing simply by clicking where it says unknown and making the change. Now, I'm not going to make the change because I don't want to mess up our demo data here, but it would pop right back into sold pending and then show up on your sold and pending page. Another option for those of us that don't have sold data available at the moment, you can add them in as supplemental listings, where you would simply create or recreate the listing based on the MLS's layout here. And you just fill this out real quick. Let's just put in 123 IDX Street. And just say it's in Eugene here. And then say it's a sold listing. You'll see here it shows up. And then if I go to my sold pending page, let me scroll through here. I believe it'll be at the end because I just added it. Oh, it didn't show up at the end. I'll just change the results per page here so I can show you this. It will show up on this page. We're just having a little bit of an issue with our test account here today. Okay, so that's pretty much it for an overview of the IDX Broker dashboard. If you have any other questions, of course, we can answer them for you. Real quick, if there's any questions you have, you might be able to find the answers on either of these sites. Learn.idxbroker.com is where we keep our tutorial videos. It's where we post our webinars after we process them, and you'll find some tips and tricks and other things on there as well. And then our knowledge base is where all our written documentation on the product is. It's at support.idxbroker.com. If you have any extra questions, you can send them to help@idxbroker.com, and to check out future webinars, it's idxbroker.com/idx_webinar. All right, well, thank you for staying with us today and all the great questions that you have. Like I said, anything else, feel free to call us at support or send an email to help@idxbroker.com. Thank you very much. Have a good day.